Hey guys, it's Shakira and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about self-love. I got a comment on one of my videos sometime last week from a young lady who was 22 years old and said she just gotten out of a bad relationship, and I believe she said it was emotionally abusive or yeah, it was emotionally abusive because I recommended a book to her. And so she said that she had been wanting to start a self-love journey, or that she is on a self-love journey, and wanted some tips. So first of all, thank you for watching and for also requesting some information, because you gave me a ton of ideas for a video series on self-love and how to love yourself, especially if you are trying to get out of and trying to avoid toxic relationships. And I resonated with this comment because all of my relationships up until about a year and a half ago have been toxic. And it was when I discovered what self-love truly was and truly meant that, I made the decision to walk away from a very toxic relationship. So I have a few tips on how you can start your self-love journey, and so I have them written down because I can honestly talk about this all day and I need to stay on task. So grab a piece of paper and a pen and let's get started. So the first thing that you want to do when you're on a self-love journey is you need to take responsibility for yourself and take responsibility for your life. That was a big one for me because when I left my spouse, I was on the internet looking up, typing in a search engine, the negative effects of emotional abuse or something like that, because and this is the book that I recommended to this young lady. It's called The Emotionally Abusive Relationship. And I was looking up ways to blame my partner because yes, I was being verbally abused. But there, in this book, it tells you about all different types of abuse, and we were type 2. One partner began abusing the other, and the abused partner chose to retaliate. That's what I did. I chose to retaliate after a year or so of being verbally abused and controlled. I retaliated in violence. Not okay. Of course, I didn't wake up and start swinging and fighting with my partner at the time, but I was provoked. However, I chose to stay in that relationship for longer than I should have. I knew that I wasn't feeling good in the relationship. I knew it wasn't right, but I chose to stay. Does this sound familiar? I'm pretty sure it does. If it has not been you, you know somebody that knows the relationship. They need to leave their relationship, but they won't. And so instead of trying to blame her and all the other people that were just like her in terms of who I chose to commit myself to, I had to take responsibility for my actions. I had to take responsibility for the fact that I stayed as long as I did. I had to take responsibility for myself. And if you think about that for a second, yes, you got to admit that you were wrong. And it's so freaking empowering to say, I choose to take responsibility for my life and for my actions, because you know what? The same way I was able to put up with and deal with, crap, I was able to change it around and say, I'm not going to deal with that anymore. Do you follow what I'm saying? You have to take back your personal power. That's what it really boils down to. If you give your power to somebody else and say, well, she or he made me do this. You heard that before? He or she made me react this way. She begged me to stay with her. He begged me to stay with him. It's giving the other person power when really you have the choice to walk away, to say how you really feel, to do what you really want to do in your life. And so I had to take responsibility, and you need to take responsibility for your life. It is nobody's fault but your own that you chose to stay for however many years. And just like it was nobody's fault but my own that I chose to stay with somebody that did not value me. And that was really a big red flag that Shakira did not love herself at that time. So tip number 1, you need to take responsibility for your life and for your actions. Tip number 2, meditation, spirituality, and yoga. I kind of have them grouped into one. And also you can group religion into this too. You need to develop a relationship with God, or with whomever you believe is the one source, the energy, the universe, whatever makes the grass grow, our hearts beat, and the blood pump through our body. We are all affected by this amazing energy. And it is vitally important that we stay connected and plugged in with God. If you are spiritual, if you are religious, if like whatever it is that you do, grounding yourself, Closing your eyes and sitting in a dark room by yourself is not crazy. In fact, you need to do that. If you don't do that, you're going to go crazy. You really have to take time to talk to God and say, God, especially if you are in a bad relationship, trying to get out of a bad relationship or trying to avoid, you need to ask God, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And then you have to get quiet. You got to close your eyes. You got to get still. And you have to listen for your answers. And what I do personally is I pray for something, or I pray for an answer to a question that I have. Because you got to go directly to the answers happen when you get still, you get silent, and you ask God specifically, listen, I need you to be real, like bold with your answer. I need you to be so bold that I know what you responding to my question. But the only way that you can do that is by getting still, meditating. I group yoga in because it's a form of meditation, and especially the breath work. If you're afraid of yoga, oh, I don't want to do it. Yoga started out as just breath work, just deep inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. The asanas were next, or the poses were next. So don't be afraid of them, but do them. And so this was vitally important for me too, the meditation and the yoga, because meditation and yoga have been scientifically proven to change the chemistry in our brains and in our bodies. And so you have to do that, especially if you're coming from a traumatic background. Even if you're not, let's say you're not in a relationship, your self-love journey is based on something else. Say you come from a traumatic background. You have to heal your nervous system. Our bodies remember trauma. You got to do the work. You cannot pray it away. You have to do the work. God will help, but you have to help God help you. You have to be an active participant in this. So you have to do some breath work. You have to do some yoga if you want to heal your mind, you want to heal your body. Okay? And you know you're over it when the person can call or text or whatever, and it's just like whatever. It can get to that point. You will get to that point of healing. And I know that because that's how my life is too. Okay? That's how it is now. Next thing you need to do is follow your dreams. What are your dreams? What do you want? What are your goals? Do you have any? If you don't have any, then you need to get some. You need to get some, because too many people give up on their dreams and their goals because of so many different aspects. But for me, I almost gave up, my entrepreneurial spirit and my first business. I actually let my first business go. I stopped working it with my first marriage because that was a toxic relationship, and I didn't have the energy to balance this crappy marriage and this business that I really, really loved. And so happened. And so you need to follow your dreams. If you don't know what your dreams are, then think about it. Get some goals. I mean, they could be little or they could be small. You don't have to be an entrepreneur, obviously. You could be your dream could be to be an awesome mom. Your dream could be to get sober. Your dream could be to lose 10 pounds and have a body that you love. Whatever your dreams are, everybody has them. We just let them go. But you need to follow them, and you need to not let anybody detour you to the point where, 20 years pass and you have not worked towards your dreams. You haven't even thought about them because you've been so obsessed with whatever else is going on with your life. And so really important to write those down, really important to get in touch with what you really want for your life, because it is your life. You are ultimately in control. You and God, you guys co-create everything together, right? So follow your dreams and don't let anybody stop you. Create some boundaries. I'm going to take another sip on that one. Take another sip on that one because that was a big problem for me too. Create boundaries in your life. So what that means is you'll have people that obviously need to get themselves together. They need to get themselves together, but instead of taking control of their own lives, they try to put that off on you. Like, well, you should help me. Well, you're my wife and you know more and you should. No, that is overstepping a boundary. That is them trying to overstep a boundary, and then you allowing it would be, okay, let me order this book and let's do this together. There's nothing wrong with helping people, but there's a big issue when you start to become their doormat. And then they start to expect you to do certain things that are not your responsibility because you did not set your boundaries. Look, boo, I love you, but that is not my responsibility right there. You know what I'm saying? And then also, like, coming in, I was in a situation where, another example would be, paying somebody's child support, paying somebody's bills, doing handiwork or running errands for somebody else. Again, it's nothing wrong with helping someone, but once you start to feel like, how come every time such and such has asked me to do this, how come blah 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 blah, and it can be something as simple as like, can you pick my mail up? Can you do this? Can you watch my kid? Watching your kid one day turn into you're watching this person's kid all of the time, instead of them being responsible adults and getting a babysitter, or instead of your partner being a responsible adult and doing his or her own work on herself and not putting it on you, and then you feeling guilty about it. One really, let me check the time. Hopefully we're not going over too much. One really important thing to remember when it comes to boundaries is how you feel. If you feel like they're invading your personal space and your boundaries, then they probably are. So check in with your feelings. Next thing you want to do is to quiet your inner critic. You need to shut her up, because she will have you abandoning your dreams, making you feel like you can't make it without your partner that's been helping you financially for years, and you feel like, oh my God, if I leave, then my life's going to go to crap. Quiet the inner critic. And the way that you do that is by writing down affirmations. And I don't have my journal next to me, but I've been writing down affirmations and reciting affirmations for the past 3-4 years, and listening to meditations with affirmations for the past 3-4 years. And let me tell you that they've done wonders. If I did not have them, I probably would still be in a bad marriage right now. But you got to build yourself up, especially if you are questioning the fact that that you do or you don't love yourself. Then you have self-esteem issues, and you have to build yourself up. You got to give yourself pep talks, and it really, really, really works, especially if you do them over and over again. And as a matter of fact, you have to. At first, you're not going to believe it. At first, you're going to say, I love myself. No, clearly I don't. Or, you're not going to know. It's going to feel foreign to your body. You're going to reject it. But eventually you are going to believe it. And you're going to say, I do love myself. I do love myself. And then you'll start to make different choices. And you'll learn to take control of your mind. When your mind starts to say negative things, you'll learn to flip the switch to something positive. You will immediately start to change what's going on in your mind so that it's positive instead of negative.